United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres expressed deep concern over the continued use of force against peaceful protesters in Belarus and detention of those exercising their legitimate democratic rights. In a statement, the UN chief also expressed concern over reports of intimidation against civil society groups, media workers and opposition figures, calling on authorities to refrain from the use of force against those engaging in peaceful assembly and to ensure that claims of torture and other mistreatment of detainees are fully investigated. He assured the current crisis can only be resolved by the Belarusian people through a broad-based, inclusive dialogue, which should start immediately in the interest of stability. Iranian state TV reported at least one person was killed and several injured in an explosion at a shop in an area near Iran's capital, Tehran, adding that at least 30 buildings were damaged by the blast. An explosion on Tawhid Street took place in a battery shop. One person was killed and at least 10 people were injured. 10 cars and 30 buildings were badly damaged as well. It said the cause of the explosion was being investigated. Lebanese firefighters put out a blaze at Beirut port that brought back the trauma of last month's deadly dockside explosion and destroyed badly needed food aid. Fire crews used cranes to hose down the last smoldering embers of the fire that swept through already damaged warehouses, but popular anger at the authorities' failure to provide public safety, even in the heart of the capital, was rekindled by the new blaze. Iraq witnessed a series of security events across multiple governorates, included the targeting of the Baghdad International Airport with a Katyusha rocket. Also, the Iraqi security forces launched an anti-terrorism and gun control operations in 4 Iraqi governorates dubbed Al-Wad As-Sadiq. Security operations also continued in Maysan, Al-Muthanna, Salahuddin and Basra governorates in southern Iraq. UK Minister for the Middle East James Cleverly criticised the Houthi militias for taking the Safar oil tanker as hostage and said that it was unacceptable for the Iran-backed group to have its grip on the livelihood of Yemenis and the environment. Cleverly's remarks were made in response to a question posed by the Friends of Yemen group at the UK's Labour Party. He also urged handling the tanker without any delay. Saudi Arabia and India discussed cooperation opportunities and boosting investment and commercial ties at a time when business and economic activities were frozen in many countries due to the COVID-19 outbreak. For its part, New Delhi revealed that it looks forward to reinforcing cooperation with Riyadh to support MSEs and launch new partnerships. This came during a webinar on the impact of COVID-19 on the bilateral economic relations of India and Saudi Arabia, which the Indian embassy held in Riyadh. Cooperation between both countries saw huge growth before the virus outbreak, he said, noting that trade between Riyadh and New Delhi exceeded $40 billion in 2017. During his visit this month, French President Emmanuel Macron gave Lebanon's politicians a roadmap for policy changes and reform, set deadlines for them to take action, and told them he'd be back in December to check on progress. Lebanon's ruling class, in power since the end of the civil war in 1990, has run the tiny country and its population into the ground. Anger over corruption and mismanagement has come to a peak after the giant August 4th explosion at Beirut's port, caused by the detonation of nearly 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate that politicians allowed to sit there for years. Microsoft Corp said hackers linked to Russia, China and Iran is trying to spy on people tied to both US President Donald Trump and Democratic challenger Joe Biden. In recent weeks, Microsoft has detected cyber attacks targeting people and organizations involved in the upcoming presidential election. Microsoft also said the attackers have targeted political operatives, think tanks, consultants, and political parties in Europe as well. Lucid Motors, which seeks to set new standards for sustainable transportation with its advanced luxury electric vehicles, unveiled production details for the highly anticipated Lucid Air. Having already set new industry benchmarks in the EV and luxury segments in key areas related to performance, efficiency and design, deliveries of this new pure electric luxury sedan will start in the spring of 2021. The Lucid Air is the result of a revolutionary approach to automotive packaging called the Lucid Space concept, which capitalizes upon the miniaturization of Lucid's in-house developed EV drivetrain to optimize interior cabin space. Amid busy construction crews racing to build an airport in Mexico, scientists are unearthing more and more mammoth skeletons in what has quickly become one of the world's biggest concentrations of the now extinct relative of modern elephants. More than 100 mammoth skeletons have been identified spread across nearly 200 excavation sites, along with a mix of other Ice Age mammals in the area destined to become the Mexican capital's new commercial airport. Lead archaeologist Ruben Manzanella explained on Tuesday that around 24,000 years ago, mammoth herds reached this spot where sprawling grasslands and lakes would have enticed them to reside. Archaeologists said rising Nile floodwaters are threatening to swamp an ancient archaeological site in Sudan after some of the highest ever recorded river levels. Mark Maillot, head of the French Archaeological Unit in the Sudan Antiquities Service, said teams have set up sandbag walls and are pumping out water to prevent damage at the ruins of El Bedrawiya, once a royal city of the 2 millennia-old Meroitic Empire. The area includes the famous Meroe Pyramid, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A British research team unveiled that ancient Brits had their own special burial practice that differed from practices in other civilizations. In Vietnam, families burn cash, clothes, shoes, even luxury items, all made from paper, to bid their loved ones well in the afterlife. In India, mourners carry bodies wrapped in colored clothes to the banks of the river, where they are cremated on funeral pyres. Now, archaeologists have discovered that at the same time when Egyptians were entombing mummified pharaohs with gold and riches, people in the Bronze Age Britain had their own special burial practices and a penchant for crafting keepsakes out of bone. Experts said global animal, bird and fish populations have plummeted more than 2/3 in less than 50 years due to rampant overconsumption. Human activity has severely degraded 3/4 of all land and 40% of Earth's oceans, and the quickening destruction of nature is likely to have untold consequences on our health and livelihoods. The Living Planet Index, which tracks more than 4,000 species of vertebrates, warned that increasing deforestation and agricultural expansion were the key drivers behind a 60% average decline in populations between 1970 and 2016.